Welcome into another Musings from the Mind of tutorial where we are going to look at making this cartoony fire. There's two ways we can make it, and it's literally just one change in the setup of the shader. With that said, this tutorial is going to be in three sections. One is going to be the base setup of the flame. Then there's going to be the shader for the flame, and then there will be some tweaks at the end. So with that said, let's jump into a new project. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. I have my default project set to where I have a line art and a no line art collection. This one we're going to build in the no line art connection. But if you are interested in line art, I will have the tutorial for that in the description. Let's go ahead and do our setup. We're going to select bloom in our EV settings, and we're good for that. Let's make our first subject. Actually, I take it back. Let's go to our world, and let's go ahead and make our background black, which we won't see until we change our viewport, but we won't change our viewport until after we have our mesh. Our mesh is going to be a UV sphere, and I'm going to tab into that. I'm going to select proportional editing. I'm going to select sharp. I'm going to select vertice. Let's go to the top. I'm going to select this top vertice, and then we're just going to get on the z-axis, kind of make a teardrop. I'm going to go to the bottom, and I am going to get again on the z-axis and just kind of make the bottom a little flat. And then I'm just going to grab this middle and I'm going to scale it down just a smidge. And so we get this kind of flat teardrop shape. I'm going to right click and shade smooth. And then we're going to do two modifiers. First modifier, we're going to do a subdivision surface at a level of 2. And then we're going to apply that guy. And then we are going to add a displace modifier, new texture. Click on the texture button. We're going to select a marble texture. We're going to go back to our modifier. We're going to set it to about a 0.15 so that we just have some ripple. You can play with that as you like to get the shape you want, because we're not going to apply this guy. We're going to add a plane axis empty, because that's going to be the driver for our flames. So we're going to we're going to select our flame again. We're going to change our coordinates to object. The object is going to be the empty. And as this empty moves, it will stoke our flames. And the easiest way for us to do that is we're just going to put a driver on the Z location. So we're going to go up here, hit N to open the window. We're going to go click on the Z location. This needs to be all lowercase, hashtag frame. Oops, frame. And then I've already experimented for the speed I want. I'm going to divide the frame number by 15. You can play with that as you like to get the speed you want. But as you can see now, as my frame moves, so does my flame. So let's jump over here. Let's change the viewport here. Now we can see our black background, and it's going to make it easy for us to see um, what we're doing in the shader editor and how it affects what we're doing. So let's select our flame. We're going to do a new. I'm going to get rid of the principled BSDF. We're going to search for an emission shader. We're going to throw that emission shader in, and we're going to set it to a 3. And you can kind of see that bloom already. We are going to put a color ramp on the emission shader color so that we can drive that color in a minute. But before we drive the color, we want to give this a texture, and we're going to use a gradient texture. And on this gradient texture, go factor to factor. And then if you have Node Wrangler enabled, you can just hit Control T. With the gradient selected, it's going to add a mapping and a texture coordinate node. If not, just manually add the mapping and coordinate texture node. I'm going to leave the texture coordinate node on generated. And then on the mapping node, I want to get this black in the gradient that's currently on the left. I want to get it on the tippy top. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to rotate our mapping -90. We're going to reduce the Z scale to 0.5. And then with shift held down, we're going to adjust the X in the positive direction until we get that black to the tippy top. And for us, it looks like, or for mine, it looks like it's going to be 0.049. So let's add some color. In my color ramp, I want 4 total sliders. So starting with the 0 position slider, we're going to leave it at black, but we're going to take alpha all the way to 0. And then with the second slider, we are going to put a dark orange, and we're going to slide that guy closer to, oops, I put that in strength, sorry. Let's put that in color. I was wondering why we weren't seeing our color. For this third slider, we're going to pick a lighter orange, and we're going to move it closer to this end. And then for this one, we're going to select a really bright orange. And so we've got us a gradient going there. And what we're going to do now is we're about to add some transparency to it. So let's go to our material tab, make sure our blend mode is alpha blend, and our shadows is none. And so under the submission, I'm going to add a transparent shader, transparent BSDF. I'm going to scoot this guy over, and we are going to add a mix shader and connect the transparent. And as we drive this factor, we can see we can affect the transparency. And so we can already get some cool effects with just what we have here. But we're going to drive this. We're going to have 2 ways we're potentially going to drive this mix shader here in a minute. So we'll come back to that. But what I want to do before that is I want to add some ripples or some whips to the flame. So what we're going to do is above our gradient texture here, I mean, doesn't matter where you put it, but just for me, it helps me keep this all in order because we're going to drive this magic texture off the same mapping and texture coordinate. So we're just going to pull that up into there. We're going to leave the depth at 2. We're going to drop the scale to 1. And then distortion, I have played with everything from 0.5 to 5. And it's just going to be a matter of what works best for you guys. That's going to be one of the sliders I recommend we play with to get the ripples exactly the way we want. We're going to need to add a color ramp here. And we're going to drop factor into factor. And then we are going to drive this guy with a math node. And the math node is going to be set to less than. And our color is going to be the value. And then our threshold is going to be set by layer weight. And let me push this guy up here a little bit. And let me bring you down a little bit. And we'll bring you over here. And we're going to use facing. We're going to drop that in here. And then we're going to add a second level of transparency. So let me bring this guy over here. And let me bring this guy over here. We're going to copy this mix shader, and we're going to copy the transparency, and then we're going to drive this mix shader with the magic texture. And so now we get this nice rippling effects, as you can see around the side. And then we can bring this in some, get some much better effects. Again, like I said, we can up the distortion, as much as 5, and you almost get kind of a magic flame. But like I said, for me, I found 0.5 works best for me. And then what we could do is, if you like this effect, that is great. But we can put another layer weight on this mix shader. And that will, and we're going to do Fresnel into factor, and then that kind of gives it where you saw the deep color on the other. This now kind of gives you some depth or layer to your flames, and that is the cartoony flame. One other thing we could do if we wanted to is we could move the empty and or we don't even need to move the empty, we can move the sphere from the non-line art into the line art. And we can see, I might have to add a camera here real quick. Shift A, camera, Control Alt 0. And then you can see now we're adding some of these drawn lines. And if you want to go add the drawn lines, like I said, there's another tutorial in the description. I hope this helps make a nice cartoony fire. Um, Please like and subscribe and comment if you have suggestions on how we can make this better. I appreciate your time. Till the next time.